Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. It's 202 days until Christmas 2020. Hope everybody has had a good week. I know it's been a difficult week for many people. And I've been struggling with wanting to do a video and talk to you folks, and at the same time acknowledge what's going on in our country and around the world. But I don't really want to get into social climate, political things at all. Just want to acknowledge that I'm aware of those things, and consciously deciding that the content here is Star Wars directed, and I want to try to stay there. And say good evening to Gungan Dungeon. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you would smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, I would really appreciate it. It'd be great to build this community and have some folks on. Second Street Marvel Trinity, thank you so much for coming on this afternoon. I know out there in California, you're a few hours ahead of us. There's still not quite the end of the day there. And in fact, on my not North Pole work, I work with a client out in California and Los Angeles area, and he's not done with his day yet either. So good to see you guys this afternoon. And I thought I would let you all know that I've reached out after the live stream this morning from Josh in the Den of Nerds Live. I reached out to Lord Callis TV. I subscribed to his channel and invited him to come on and have a discussion with us sometime. He has agreed to do that. We're just trying to work out the specifics about when that might happen, because we have day jobs, we have work, and we have to work around that. So I would look forward to Lord Callis TV joining us in the near future. And again, what of the things that I really enjoy doing here is getting some different perspectives from folks that have different opinions. And I've been trying to get Josh Lucas to come on, because there's a few things that I want to harass him about. Captain Pennsylvania. Oh, the Bills Mafia has showed up. Thanks so much. Good to see you. Yeah, so I've been wanting to give Josh a hard time. First of all, on this nonsense of him calling the Star Wars MCU. He's got to stop that. It's not, MCU means Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he insists on calling it MCU because of them kind of modeling after how Marvel has built their cinematic universe. But when you call it the Star Wars MCU, he thinks that helps with the normies. I want to disagree with him. I don't think that the folks on the street, when you say Star Wars MCU, I think that confuses them, because most people who have heard of MCU think of it as Marvel Cinematic Universe. And when you say Star Wars Marvel Cinematic Universe, that doesn't make sense. I keep trying to kind of influence him to change that to say is the Star Wars the Star Wars new expanded universe. So that's just me wanting to give Josh a hard time. And then, of course, he's got some crazy stuff about wanting Rey to have twins of presumably Ben Solos, and I think he's crazy. Don't need any of that nonsense either. And what's the other thing that Josh has been trying to champion? Oh, he is a big fan of getting Boba Fett back, which leads us into our topic here. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about is Boba Fett, and they were talking about it this morning. And Josh is a big Boba Fett nerd. He wants more Boba Fett, and any way he could get him. For me, Boba Fett was a punk. All right, he went down easy to the Sarlacc, and he should just stay there. That's me. And it's fun for me to give him a hard time about that, because I just enjoy it. Right? There's nothing to be feuding about, but just give him a hard time. That's always fun. Trev, hello, good afternoon. Thanks for stopping in. Very good. And so I wanted to just kind of dovetail off of the discussion this morning. First of all, I've given Josh a hard time. Anytime I can do that, it's just fun, right? It's fun, and he could take it. He could take it. So I wanted to talk about some of the live action casting and where we might see things go from here. I think Josh and Lord Callis talked about it this morning, and it seems very, very clear that what we're going to get is this search for Ezra Bridger in the fall, or sometime maybe in the winter, depending when they release that. That search for Ezra Bridger, I think, is going to culminate in a crossover event to The Mandalorian, and we'll see the live action characters come in there, and that's led to some speculation most recently this week about bringing in Grand Admiral Thrawn. So Thrawn is the most recent speculation, and who they might get to do that. And hello, Neon Sci-Fi. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, I like to call Boba Fett a punk because he went into the Sarlacc pit like a punk. But and I'm hoping that Josh gets word of me calling him out and just poke the bear a little bit. That'd be fun. So I wanted to do that, and then if we get Grand Admiral Thrawn, then basically we almost have, as you start to go down the list, we almost have the entire cast of the Rebels animated series in live action characters. So Thrawn and Ezra are the most recent speculation. There's been some rumor about casting for them, but we know Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka, Katie Sackhoff, Sabine, Tamura Morrison. Now a lot of the speculation came in originally about him being Boba Fett, and maybe that's the case. I'm still holding out that maybe not, because when people start to hear different things, wires get crossed, and when wires get crossed, people come up with different ideas. And the reason I say that is not only is he the Rex, but he's also Boba Fett, because the cloning, all of that. So, but what if he is Rex, and the people who are thinking Boba Fett are actually confusing that with the character of Cobb Vanth, right? Cobb wears Boba Fett's armor, but he's not Boba Fett, right? He wears Boba Fett's armor, and Timothy Oliphant has been connected to portraying Cobb Vanth in live action. And if Timothy is wearing if Cobb's there and he's wearing Boba Fett's armor, and people then see Tamura and they associate him with Boba Fett, it could be that those wires are crossed. So this is just my hopeful speculation that we won't get a live Boba Fett, that he's still in the belly of that Sarlacc, and we'll leave him there. That's a good place for him. I like him being there, and it's fine to leave him there for me. So that's that. And again, I'm poking the bear. If anybody knows Josh, you get hold of him, let him know I'm poking. That'd be great. We'll leave him in the belly of the Sarlacc, and we'll see where it goes from there. And then perhaps also it could be that there's a flashback scene. So we've seen already where the Mandalorian has these flashback scenes of him as a child and being rescued and all of that, right? There was that big attack on his village, and he was hidden by his parents, and then he was pulled out. So it's possible that there's a flashback that Boba Fett is in, and Boba Fett won't actually be out of that Sarlacc. So here's me hoping. So what do we have here? Hello, kids. We see several kids see Santa on the screen. It's good to see you all. You guys be good. And I know it's coming up. Summer break is here, and it's fantastic. So pretty soon, Santa will be getting ready to come out and visit kids in the stores again. and take pictures, and hopefully we'll be able to do that with the stores reopening, and I can come and visit folks, and we can get your picture and find out what you want for Christmas this year. So, well, what Santa wants is Boba Fett in the belly of the Sarlacc. There we go. So let's see, what else do we have? Just to catch up on some of the chat here. Cast Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn. He already is. Yeah, that raises another really good point. So I know the deal with Rosario Dawson and being cast as Ahsoka. So many of us have absolutely connected Ahsoka with Ashley Eckstein, right? And Ashley is an actress, and many people want Ashley to portray Ahsoka in live action because we so tightly associate her voice. But it raises this other question about Ahsoka aging. What age would she be during this time? And the same, and Josh mentioned it this morning with even Ezra, right? Ezra would be closer to 30. He's not a teenager or in his early 20s anymore. So when we start to cast these characters, they're a little bit older. And I know Katie Sackhoff is still doing Sabine, and but you look at her physically, she looks in that age group. And Ashley is a bit younger, and I think the casting of Rosario Dawson in that role is a really good one, and I look forward to it. I'm very optimistic on it. So you mentioned about casting Lars Mikkelsen. Sure. Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania. The worst bounty hunter ever, right? Yeah. So thanks for backing me up, Captain Pennsylvania. Yeah. Boba Fett. He's not all that. He's not all that. In fact, Boba Fett is like a 12-year-old was a better bounty hunter than Boba Fett working for hunting down Han Solo. Changed my mind. You see Boba Fett as a kid in the Clone Wars animated series. He took it on. He went right after the Jedi, and he very nearly killed a couple. And full-fledged Jedi, right? And here we got Boba Fett on that sail barge of Jabba the Hutt. He gets punked in the back and right into the belly of the Sarlacc pit. The end of Boba Fett. He's done. He's down. Let's get rid of him. So that's me. That's Trev. Boba Fett's a punk in the Clone Wars. Well, truly a punk. Like he's a kid and he acts childish, but he's angry. He's really, really angry as a kid, and he's willing to kind of break some rules. Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania. He's in Clone Wars. Yes, he is. You'll see him in there. He shows up as a kid. I want to think that he looks 12ish in the Clone Wars animated series, and he's very unlikable. He is a very unlikable kid. Trev, Katie Sackhoff is Bo-Katan, not Sabine. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I misspoke. Yeah, Bo-Katan. I knew that. I don't know why. Yeah, it's Friday afternoon. It just my brain crossed those wires. So see, it can happen. It can happen. We know that we've got Rex coming back. We know Boba Fett's armor's coming back, but maybe not Boba Fett. I just put it out there, right? Put it out there. Maybe that's the case. I hope so. Let's see. Bo-Katan. Yeah. Trev. Yeah, you've been keeping up with the chat there. What if Boba Fett hijacks Rex's identity? Ooh, that's a pretty good line. It could happen in all the confusion there during the right after the Clone Wars, when the clones are kind of going out. Boba Fett could actually, as the clones are kind of disbanded as a military unit, or they start to begin into some public life of some sort, you could see where maybe that's a something that Boba Fett could use to his advantage to take on some of these other military personnel, especially who starts to get into that age, right? He starts to get into military age. He could take on the identity of Rex, or maybe even other former clone troopers, right? Let's see. Yeah, yeah. So, Death Watch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Death Watch. That's where you start to see. Okay, no bounty hunter Boba. I really dislike him. I dislike him too. Mike Porter. Hello, Mike. Hello there. Thanks for stopping in. Flashback to Death Watch. Rescuing Mando would be a young Boba. Yes, that would be great. That would be great. Let's see. Let's get caught back up here. I'm glad I was able to entertain the kids. It happens to me on conference calls too. I was on a conference call earlier this week at work, and I came up on the screen, and Santa. I'm Santa every day, all the time, and anybody sees me, they recognize me right away. That's Santa. And I was on a conference call, a Zoom meeting, and my whole company was there, and some of the kids saw me, and all of a sudden the meeting went sideways. It was all, "Hey, Santa," and so I got to talk to some kids. It was great. Much better than the business meeting, trust me. So let's see what else we have. Let's see. I keep losing my spot here. Okay, Death Watch. No bounty hunter Boba. Yep. Death Watch. Clone Wars. Yeah. You know what else I liked about Clone Wars is how that oh shoot, I just lost her name. The Asajj Ventress kind of smacks down young Boba Fett and shows him his place. Asajj kind of whips him really good. I like that. That one of my favorite Boba Fett scenes in the Clone Wars is when Asajj makes him look like a little kid that he is. It's really good. He needs more work. Yeah, Captain Pennsylvania, you're definitely a better bounty hunter than Boba Fett. You know why? Because Boba Fett's in the belly of a Sarlacc. That's why. You're out. You can actually still hunt people. That's good. There you go. The plain old scoundrel. Who would I cast as Ezra? Boy, that's tough. I don't know. People start to throw around all kinds of different names, and the one that that everybody always let me see here. John Wick. Who is John Wick? Try to think of the actor that plays John Wick, and my brain is just locked up on his name right now. You guys are going to get it before me, for sure. Oh shoot! I see his face right here. Even I was able to bring it up, but I can't get it in my head. Keanu Reeves. Yes, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves could make a good Ezra. He might be a little bit old, depending. He could probably pull it off, though. Not sure. Not really sure. Who do you guys think? Better yet, who do you guys think? Dev Patel. Let me pull up Dev and take a look at his picture here and see what we think of Dev Patel. Dev Patel. Ooh, yeah, absolutely. Dev would be great. Dev, he's the right age. Yeah, you nailed it. He's 30. That'd be great. That would be wonderful. And then I heard about, they were talking about the future of the Jedi, where it could go, and playing off of Ezra Bridger, and of course uh, Ahsoka Tano. I love Ahsoka. She's my favorite. If you haven't followed me for long, haven't talked, I absolutely adore Ahsoka Tano, and I would love her to be involved. I really wanted her to have some tie-in that Rey would maybe find her. She'd be elderly, and in the Rise of Skywalker, but didn't happen. I don't always get what I want, but at the same time, I think she's just a little bit old for the future. Like when we start to talk about what comes up after the Rise of Skywalker, which I generally think is the better direction to go long term, is in the future, and they talked about it a little bit this morning as well between Lord Callis and the Den of Nerds on Den of Nerds Live, that going back, we kind of step into some space that is already well known in Legends. And when you start getting into Legends material, people have their hearts and minds set on a particular portrayal, and I think they're better left where they are. Just to put it that way, I think they're best left for fans to develop, especially when they came from like the video games, and they were able to play those characters themselves. They got invested in those characters, playing them, and when you start to take them maybe some other direction, it might not be as well received. So I would kind of stray from that. I'll take that off there. I think would be better to see in the future like Rey and Finn, Rey training Finn, mentoring Finn, and the two of them finding more Force sensitives, going out through the galaxy, putting down some of the unrest that comes up from time to time, helping to restore peace and balance to things. That's just me personally, and which is the other thing that I wanted to take some issue with this morning. There was a little bit of debate about, did Rey actually move to Tatooine at the end of Rise of Skywalker, and the answer is no. The end. No, she did. And Josh, you can point your finger at me all you want. The answer is still no. You're still wrong. So that's just all there is. She went there. She buried the sabers, which doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to me, because let's say that they do start training others, and I would understand that through that training, folks would build their own lightsabers, but it might be handy to have a couple of spares. Trev, thanks for stopping by. You got to go. Have a great weekend, my friend. Take care, and appreciate your participation this afternoon. So, Rey's not on. She doesn't stay on Tatooine. Why would she? That's not where she is. And if you read the Rise of Skywalker novelization, you can kind of see what she's thinking. And while she stood there to see the sunset with BB-8 or the sunrise, whichever that was, that wasn't her destination. She wasn't like moving in or going to settle there. Her mind was going back to her family, which are her friends. She's going back to Finn and Poe and the Resistance folks. She's going back to continue the work they're doing together, and she just stopped in at Tatooine at the old Skywalker homestead to bury those lightsabers, and just to kind of wrap the story up. It's a little bit of a bow on the present there. Folks that think she went there to live alone in the desert, no, nope. That's not what she did, and she's not pregnant with Ben's twins either. It's just the way it is. So I've had fun this evening. I think we're gonna kind of stop this a little bit short. I wanted to just get back on here and say hi to you folks. Let you know that very soon we're going to have a video. I'm going to get with Lord Callis. The two of us are going to discuss some Star Wars. And I've been getting into, I wanted to encourage you guys as well. I've been getting into some more of the Legends material. And with a Magic Maker on reimagining Star Wars on the weekends, we review. We've been going through the Star Wars Young Jedi Knights series. Those are books. They're each under 100 pages, and it follows the story of Jason and Jaina Solo and some of their peers that are going through Luke Skywalker's academy, and some of their adventures. So we already kind of reviewed book 1 and 2, Heirs of the Force and Shadow Academy. This weekend we're going to be talking about the Lost Ones, and that was another thing that came up in the discussion this morning that says, should maybe we see some animated or live action shows on Disney Plus of the Legends materials, and or even repurposing some of the Legends stories as new stories in canon. Mike, I want to address your question here as well. So I see it here. I'll come back to it in just a second. Would it be good to see some of these EU stories? And this morning, the specific question came up about one of the old Timothy Zahn trilogy, and repurposing, and would Ezra Bridger, fit into that and just kind of respin the story and tell the same story but with Ezra? I don't think that that's necessarily the right solution. Heir to the Empire is the specific question this morning, but I do think you could take something like the Young Jedi Knights, especially if you were to go into the future, where maybe Finn and Rey are teaching, and they've got students, much like Jaina and Jason. There'd be different characters, of course, and go through similar stories. I think you could do something like that. Mike, so do you think they'll continue the story or do something with R2-D2 and C-3PO? I hope they do. I'm a huge sequel trilogy fan. I love The Last Jedi. I love Rey and Finn. I love their characters. I want more of their story to continue, and I think there's a role for C-3PO and R2-D2 in that. But I also know the fandom is divided, and that there's a lot of folks that are not plugged in to see that. Where I do think we could get more C-3PO and R2-D2, and one of the things that I'm really hoping that they do, and it's because of my experience with the Clone Wars animated series, is that we get an animated series following Return of the Jedi, leading up to The Force Awakens, that follows our legacy characters in how they got from Return of the Jedi, and even if it stops short of that, but the things that happen right after that, before we get to the Aftermath books, maybe it's in that same time, not exactly, or maybe after the Aftermath books, but I would love to see that time period explored in animated series, especially when you've got Mark Hamill available to do voice acting. He could portray Luke in animated, and they could have him be the Luke Skywalker that so many people miss, that they wanted to see in the sequels. And I think that is what I most want to see, and it's for the fandom. I want to see that for the fandom, and to see how Luke Skywalker got from the celebration at the end of Return of the Jedi to being the hermit on in the sequel trilogy, and how we got from point A to B. And I already know some of that story, but folks just don't want to hear it, and because it's out there, they just reject it. But I think if you give it time and we were to explore it, it could come through. One of the pieces, just to kind of fill in the hole, I kind of laid it out there. One of the things that it was laid out in the comics as well is that Palpatine was working in Luke's mind as well and putting doubt there for decades. So Palpatine, even though that folks thought he was dead, he was the voices in Ben Solo's head. He was also voices in Luke's head, planting seeds of doubt. And just as somebody who has suffered from depression, somebody who still struggles with depression, I'm very familiar what my own voice in my head tells me about myself, and how down I can get and dejected and feel like I'm incompetent, or that I'm a detriment to my family, myself, and my job, everything, right? I can really, really get down on myself, and I have to, and this is just Santa telling you guys that in real life, depression's a real thing. Mental health issues are very real, and I'm a person of faith, and my faith means a whole lot to me, and I've spent a lot of time in prayer and consultation with my pastor, and I spent a lot of time in the Bible reading and praying and trying to get through the depression, but it kept dragging me down and down and down, and I had to go see a doctor and work through that, and I'm much better, much better. And if that could happen for just anybody with mental health issues, I can project that into the story and see where, if Palpatine is doing something like that to Luke over decades, just that drip every day, that constant seed of doubt being put in there, it can wear on him. So that's where I'm going with that. Dale, hello, Dale. Thanks for stopping in. Let me get caught up here just a little bit more. Maybe Disney Plus. Yeah, Captain Pennsylvania. We're on the same page tonight, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, can't remember the book, but it showed the stormtroopers' view on the Death Star. Ooh, I don't know that one either. But that's another part that could be explored. Absolutely. Yeah, Mike, I'd love to see more with R2 and C-3PO as well. Dale, people snap at the drop of a hat. Been dealing with a lot myself. Yeah, guys, I'm there. I'm there with you. It is tough out there. It's tough. A lot of people are struggling with some very real issues, especially in the United States today. I talked about it just a little bit at the opening, but people are really, really hurting. And whatever your political positions are, whatever your views are on the situation that went in Minneapolis and this taken everywhere else, understand that at the end of the day, whether you agree or disagree with a particular group of people, there are people who are hurting, and they don't necessarily know how to respond, and they're just doing the best they can. And so, to whatever degree we can to make anybody's day just a little bit better. That's why I'm here, right? That's why Santa's here talking to you today, and that's why I want to talk about Star Wars. I don't want to get too deep into the mud. I love poking the bear and picking on Josh just a little bit. I'm trying to antagonize him just enough to get him to come on here and argue with me. That's what I really want. I really want Josh to come on here and argue with me. We can have fun. It can be lighthearted, and we can all just end our day with a little bit of a smile, knowing that Josh is wrong. Right? That's the message that we need to have. At the end of the day, it's not the Star Wars MCU, Josh. It's just not. It's the Star Wars new EU. How about that? The Star Wars new extended universe. It's Rey isn't pregnant with the twins, Boba Fett's in the belly of the Sarlacc, and uh, in, and we don't need him to come out. That's anything else I can pick on Josh with, feed it to me. I'd be happy to do it. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, we can do it. Thanks, Mike. Thanks so much, you guys. And Captain Pennsylvania. This is another thing. It's one of the things that I bring up. You guys know who I come from a very in real life. I grew up in a very small rural town. No people of color in my school at all. K through 12. In the last couple of years, there was one boy who was adopted in, who was a person of color. He was a black boy, lived with a family we knew, and he had it rough in a school district where he was the only person of color at all. Right? We didn't have any Hispanic, nobody else. It was only Josh and Josh Denman, and Josh died shortly after graduation in a car wreck. Tragic story. But I grew up with very little exposure to people of color. We didn't have racism because there was no people of color to be racist against. But I understand that I was raised with certain thoughts and perspectives. It wasn't until I was in the U.S. Army and exposed to some wonderful people. And I gave a shout out this week to a friend of mine, Keith Belcher. Keith was a sergeant in U.S. Army with me. He lives in Detroit these days, and he's doing great work up there. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic man. And if you guys are familiar with Detroit, you're familiar with some of the situation up there. It's a rough place, and Keith's doing the good work. And folks like just making friends in this community. Captain Pennsylvania, and I'm looking forward to getting talked to Lord Callis, and just get some perspectives of folks that are, have a different kind of background than I do, who come from a different place, have a different experience, and going through different struggles. Look, I come from a very poor place. We didn't have electricity a lot of times. We didn't have heat a lot of times. We didn't have just basic necessities a lot of times when I was a kid. And I remember, heating by candle. And in the Midwest, when it's snowing outside, candle doesn't put off a lot of heat, but it's more than freezing to death. So that's what I remember. I remember living in the back of a pickup truck after our house burned down as a kid, and we were homeless. But again, I understand that I've had some benefits in life as well. So anyway, good to see you guys. I love you guys. Thanks so much for being here. I really do enjoy spending time with you all every day, be it on Fanjecture in the morning or the Den of Nerds Live. We had 2nd Street Marvel on here earlier, Trinity, and everybody who's here this afternoon. It's great to see you. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. And if you're interested in joining us in the getting into the extended universe, and I hope to do that with Lord Callis as well. Hit me up. Let's do this together. Again, just thank you so much. You all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be in touch with you again next time. And until then, Merry Christmas, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.